Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com. Today we are talking about the culture here in Venezuela and how conservative the Venezuelan culture actually is. Because we are seeing all over the world, mostly on the Western nations, on the OECD nations, that the culture is shifting towards a woke culture with all of the genders and all of this stuff. And some people just want to go to, let's say, more simple times, more conservative times, and they think that Venezuela can serve that purpose. Well, the thing is, the Venezuelan culture is not as conservative as you might think. It's not completely the opposite of what you're gonna find on the Western nations. However, yes, still very conservative compared to what we're seeing right now with the genders and all this nonsense that you're seeing on the commercials and I don't want to get too deep on that. So today we are going to discuss how conservative the Venezuelan culture actually is. So let's start. First, let's talk about the actual culture of Venezuela. I will say Venezuela has a culture of work hard, play hard. So Venezuelans are very hardworking, but the most important is that the average Venezuelan is very resilient. I have to say that. And I don't consider myself resilient compared to the average Venezuelan. So I have to give the proper props to my fellow Venezuelans on that regard. However, you're gonna find issues like, for instance, punctuality. People here are not punctual. And also people here in Venezuela don't mean what they say and they say what they mean. I mean, it's not like they're liars or cheaters, but they like to smooth lubricate the social interactions, and they tend to, throw these white lies or just, let's say, massage their speech in order to please someone on the short term, but not fulfilling their duty, not keeping their word, and it's sad. But still, until a certain degree, Venezuelans are trustworthy until a certain degree, so you have to keep an eye on that. And that's basically to summarize how you can describe the everyday culture of the average Venezuelan. Number two is religion. If you are religious or agnostic, either case, you're going to be pretty much fine because most Venezuelans are actually Christian or practice until a certain degree some ramification of Christianity like Catholic. Many Venezuelans are Catholic, including myself, but also other branches of Christianity, and they believe in God, and we have a bunch of churches here. And so in that regard, so if you are religious, especially if you are a Christian, you're going to be pretty much fine here. You're going to find a church basically on every city, even a very small town, you're going to find a church certainly. But still, if you practice other religion, like for instance, Judaism, you're a Jew, we have synagogues, we have temples here for Jewish practitioners, mostly on Caracas and a couple of other cities. But you're not gonna find a synagogue on a small town here, as I'm aware right now. It's not the case. And also, if you're a Muslim, you're gonna find pretty much a lot of practitioners of that faith. You're gonna find mosques here on basically every major city in Venezuela. So on that regard, you're gonna be cool. We have a lot of Middle Eastern descendants that live on the country, so you're gonna feel in home on that regard. Now, If you are agnostic, you don't practice any religion, no big deal. We have agnostic people here in Venezuela, but they are like less than 10%. So still, the Venezuelans are live and let live. So if you practice any religion, you're gonna be pretty much cool, pretty much fine. You're not gonna find any issue, any hiccup. And if you are agnostic, you can just be agnostic here and no one will give you a hard time for that. But three, we are going to talk about, the elephant on the room, the LGBTQ plus, I don't remember the acronym here in Venezuela. Well, like I said before, Venezuelans are pretty much live and let live. So if you are from that community, you're gonna be pretty much fine as long as you let everyone else do their own thing. So, for instance, if you are let's say an homosexual male, we have a bunch here, so you're gonna be in home, and they do the thing. They have their own bars and places, and they have events and such. So in that regard, you're gonna meet a lot of friends. But what you have to consider is you also have very old school traditional people, and you maybe get, you can be frowned upon on very particular occasions, but most cases you're gonna be pretty much fine, and nobody is gonna give you a hard time. But you have to consider that also we have a lot of traditional people, so don't give them a hard time. So, couple issues, minor issues, but most likely live and let live. You are gonna be pretty much fine. You're not gonna find any issue on that regard. But if you are on the other side, you are a very conservative man or female or whatever might be the case. Also, you're gonna be fine. Um, we have a bunch of conservative people that go to church and such. So no big deal. There is certain limits, certain boundaries that we don't cross here, and they are very established. So one hand, live and let live. For the other, there is some boundaries that you don't cross, and there are extreme boundaries. So if you keep it cool, keep it casual, no big deal, nothing's gonna happen. Now number four, and I don't want to talk about, I don't want to even put it, type it here, but it's talking about the pro-life, pro-choice debate. Well, here in Venezuela, most people, according to some surveys, some polls, over right now, let's say on the neighborhood of 70% of Venezuelans are pro-life. So the people that are pro-choice are actually, they are the minority. It's a considerable minority, but still a minority. And according to Venezuelan law, abortion is prohibited legally. So if that's an issue for you, yes, Venezuela is completely legal, and of course there are some, underground procedures, you want to call it like that. I don't want to say the word, but yes. So on that regard, Venezuela is very conservative, very old school. And number five, I want to talk about this feminist debate. Well, kind of particular. You're not gonna find this woke, very woke feminism, extreme feminism here with the protests and the women that they dye their hair very pink or very blue. No, no, we don't have that. You're gonna find that, let's say, women from 35 and below and younger, they have this double standard that feminism pushes us, but this extreme feminism, woke feminism, no, we don't have that. Until a certain degree, we are a live and let live society. However, there are boundaries, and this extreme feminism, no, we don't have it on the extreme way that people on Western nations have. And also, basically, like I said many times, live and let live, but there are some boundaries, some that the society is going to push you, that are allowed in, let's say, the US and Western Europe, but here are not, and not, they're not socially allowed. You can still take your shot and do it, especially if you're listening, you're a female, and you are very hardcore feminist. There are the double standard, but not this crazy whack of feminism, because this issue is most from wealthy nations. And since Venezuela, we have a bunch of problems, and I'm talking the average Venezuelan has a bunch of problems. This woke agenda, this very radical woke feminism agenda, no, that's not an issue here because we have real issues to deal. I'm talking the average Venezuelan have real issues to deal day by day. So that kind of nonsense, it doesn't concern the main Venezuelans because they have to struggle with a lot of real problems every single day. And of course, we have a lot to discuss regarding Venezuelan culture and especially how conservative it is. It's not as conservative actually, but it's very conservative compared to Western Europe and US and Canada or nations. But we can spend the whole day talking about it. Just wanting to give, maybe finger food, just an entree on that subject. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, venezuelainsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.